Good morning, YouTube. Good morning. Down here at J.D. Davis Elementary School. Since it's back to school time, Rob thought it would be a perfect day to give you all some back to school history. One of his elementary schools, J.D. Davis. Okay, let's get started. Good morning, Rob.
Good morning.
All right, we with YouTube this morning.
Hey, YouTube.
Tell them what you got going on.
Oh, I was sitting at home thinking about school had started, how kids were happy, some wasn't. But I got to thinking about myself when I was a kid. And I said, I'm going back home. I call it home. So I went back to where I used to live when I was a kid. And I'm out on the playground right now. It's off Shepherd Drive, Columbus, Georgia. And it's J.D. Davis. I remember it. I spent a lot of time out here. This is what I call home for me. We had a recreation center when I went in school behind me. It was like in a basement, which they didn't add it on to the building, put another building there. But this was the playground where you had the basketball court, the baseball field, and I hit a lot of home runs right out here, which we didn't have all the equipment, gym equipment that they have now, toys and stuff. But it was nice, and I enjoyed it. And over there, with all the trees, we had Southern made bacon. If you know what that was all about. But those were the good days for me. And
Okay, guys, we're going to take you for a tour and show you kind of what he's talking about, what he's pointing out to you so you can see. Okay, you back on, Rob. There you go.
okay, I'm gonna take you on a little tour. Ain't much right in here that I can show you, but I'm gonna show you where the baseball field. But this is the playground. Before they put up all of this playground equipment, they didn't have it back then. The baseball field would be angled this way. This would be home plate. And the basketball court was over there. And you could come out and play baseball. The recreation center in the afternoon was in the back there, in the basement. And over there where all the trees and bushes at, that used to be a stockyard, we call it. And it belonged to Southern made bacon, the bacon people back then. We used to come over and mess with the cows and the pigs. Get in trouble too.
So all of this playground right here, all this were basketball and baseball and.
Yeah.
So where did you have PE at? Was it out here? Was any of these too?
Yeah, now school PE, everything was right out here.
Okay, so this is different for you seeing it this way.
All this stuff, we didn't have all this new equipment they got today.
Okay.
The basketball court is over. We had the basketball court.
Okay.
And we used to, when I used to come over and play basketball, we used to do square dance out there on the basketball court.
That was the basketball court there?
Yep. I'll never forget, we were playing basketball one day, and a friend, brother, he was in the military, came home on leave. And we heard a car come around the curve there, hit the fence, and it flipped over and rolled down this hill. And it winded up on the basketball court.
Anybody was hurt?
He was hurt.
The driver?
Yeah. And he was in the military at the time. He had him a convertible Nova, and he wrecked it. I don't know whether he was drunk or what, but he hit that fence, that curve. He was coming too fast, and the car just flipped over and rolled down this hill.
Wow.
It was exciting to us because we never seen anything like that. That was part of it, though.
Okay, okay.
Well, I enjoyed out here, though.
How do you feel seeing such a change. The playgrounds that they built
It's good.
back when you knew what it was.
It feels good because I wish they had a lot of this here when I was going here, because we didn't have that. We just had a big playground
Okay.
and a basketball court, and we could throw horseshoes, stuff like that.
You think they'll ever make that right there basketball court again?
Probably will. I know I like to see it one,
Okay.
but I had good times I had as a kid. But it was something that I always did when I was out here. I never could pay attention, even when I was in school. I always looked at two things that excited me. I get to see the football over there at Spencer High School, over Spencer High School, and I kept saying to myself one day, I said, I'm gonna get to play out here. That was my dream. And the next thing, when I was in school sitting at the desk, and whenever the guys came along on the tractors cutting, I used to watch them. I said, I want to do that. And the teacher always used to get on me. She said, is you paying attention? I want to tell her, yes, I'm paying attention. I said, I'm watching those guys I don't know more. And she said, if you keep on looking at them and you keep not paying attention to what I'm doing up on this board, you're going to be out there with them. And in my mind, I said to myself, I hope I do. So be careful what you ask for. Because for 15 years, when I got out in the workforce after I left the mill, construction and everything, I was out there.
On that tractor?
I was running a tractor for 14 years out at Fort Benning. I wasn't mad. I was still happy just like I was when I was sitting in that classroom. But I was making good money and I was making a living. I was able to take care of my family with that I was making, running that tractor. So don't feel bad, is that what you're doing?
Okay, so with that said, you picked up something that you were looking out the window, and you thought, but you had another dream. Look like it's in your arm there. Let's walk this way here. Okay, YouTube, we're gonna walk this way here. Let him share something else with you, and we'll be right back. We get down that way.
We back to where my heart belongs. And over here, to your left is Spencer High School football field. I spent a lot of time out here on that field when I was in the 5th grade going to J.D. Davis. I used to get in trouble because if it was cold, my dad said, where's Robert at? They said, he over there at the school. And he said, what school? They tell me, he over there at that football field. And I'd be right out there on that football field. I get my football, I put my tennis shoes on, my shorts, and my special cutoff t-shirt. And I go over there in my kicking tee, and I go over and started kicking field goals. And this was when I was in the 5th grade. It was just something that I liked to do. All the other kids would shoot marbles, fighting, and whatever. I was over here kicking a football. Sometimes I ask them, I say, hey, y'all want to come with me? They said, where you going? I said, I'm going over to the school, to the football field. They said, no, we don't want to go over there. And I just leave and go. And it didn't matter if it was raining, cold, hot, that's where you could find me at. So I did that for the longest till I left J.D. Davis and got to go to Marshall Junior High School my 7th grade year. And I didn't like it. I felt like I was being mistreated when it came to sports. So I said, you know what? I had a friend, he told me, he said, why don't you come and go to Southern Junior High? I said, you know, I'll do that. So I did. And that was an opening door for me when I did that. Because I had went out for football. This was my 8th grade year. And I found out that they needed a kicker. And the way it happened, the quarterback hurt his foot, so he couldn't kick. So my friend told the coach, hey, Swindler can kick. So I came over, he called me, I got out on the field, and he had me to kicking. And he kept me out there, him and another coach, till about 8 o'clock that night. We finished practice at 5 o'clock. So I said, hey, I got to call my mama and let them know where I'm at. He said, I'll take you home. But they kept me out. But they liked what I was doing. But that opened the door up for me.
So is that, at that point, what took you to the Georgia Tech? I know you ride or die Yellow Jackets. It started on this field right here, as you say, right? This was old.
Yeah. That's where it started.
Started right out here.
Started right here.
Nice big open football field. So it started there for you.
Yeah.
But it didn't end there. As you got through high school and proceeded on with your future endeavors, what took you to that Yellow Jacket ride or die?
Well, when I left Baker High School, which at that time, integration, I wound up at Baker instead of Spencer. That's where my heart was. And I was playing every position at Spencer until I went home. This is during spring training. I went home and my mama said, we got a letter for you. The school sent you a letter. And they said, you gonna have to report to Baker High School. And that just broke my heart because everything was ready for me at Spencer High School. And the coaches liked me and everything. They saw a lot in me and they couldn't get me out of it. They thought they could, but they couldn't. So I wound up at Baker. And I went to Baker and like I say, it was a lot of race rides going on at that time for all 4 years to be exact. And it was hard on me. Teachers was disliking me, didn't like me. I was confused or mad because I wanted to be somewhere else. That wasn't where I wanted to be. But my heart was at Spencer. So I wound up, one of the players that lived it over in the project with me, and he told me, he said, Robert, he said, I'm going to look out for you. And he tried to look, but he was a senior at the time, and I was a freshman. And he was leaving, but he tried to. But I wound up there at Baker, and things worked out for me even there. Although I did quit my junior year.
Okay, so this was the time you mentioned integration, segregation. You were during that time, is that what happened with the Spencer and the Baker? What put you in a position of wanting to be at one school but had no choice in the matter to go to the other school?
That's right.
Were schools being integrated at that time?
Yeah, it was. It was being integrated, and I didn't quite understand it. I just felt like it took something from me, and I never forget it.
So when you made it to Baker and you got through that hurdle, graduation time, you get on through graduation, you say, okay, what took you to that next level with that football dream of that Georgia Tech ride or die?
I didn't give up. A friend of mine that lived in the project with me, he told me, because I was doing construction work, and he said, hey, I can get you a job at the mill with me. It was a decent job, working in air conditioning. So I told him, yeah, I'd go. So I went down, they hired me. And 2 weeks later, he came to me and told me, he said, they're going to let me go. I said, well, if you're going to go, I'm going to leave too. And he told me, no, don't you leave. He said, you stay here. And he told me he was thinking about going to Atlanta. I said, well, I don't want to go to Atlanta. Amazing how things work out. But I was working one night. I got off from work, went home, and my sister said, some man called you from Baker. Want you to come down to the school Saturday morning and give him a call. She told me who he was. He was one of my old coaches. So I called him and he told me, he said, I need you to come down to the school. He said, what you doing? You working? I said, sort of. He said, I need you to come down to the school. I want you to meet somebody. I said, okay. He said, you got some shorts? I said, yeah, I got some shorts. He said, I got some balls and some tees. I said, okay. So I went down there. And I got there. He said, we're going somewhere. He said, we're going to go to Atlanta. I said, okay. So I got my bag of balls and tees and my cleats, and we took off. And he took me, I didn't know where I was going. So he took me to Georgia Tech. I said, God, this is a big place. I was shocked with just looking at the buildings, how big they was, and the cars, the streets. And He said, I want you to meet somebody. So he took me and we went out to the Georgia Tech, and he introduced me to Pepper Rogers. And I didn't really know Pepper Rogers like that, but I know he was Georgia Tech football coach, and he had introduced me to him. And he said, I heard a lot from you coach, and I'm really interested to see what you can do, and like that. And so I did. I walked out on the field, put my shoes on and everything, got the ball, bag, and walked out. And he said, can you give me some kicks, put some kicks? I said, yeah. So I put my ball down, put my set in my tee. I kicked a 25-yard field goal. I bagged up, kicked a 40-yard field goal, and he let me stay there at the 40-yard line kicking. And I kicked for a few minutes. Then I just said on my own, let me go back, because I kicked better further than that in my mind. So I did. I walked back, and he said, where you going? Where you going? I said, down here. He said, you gonna kick from down there? I was halfway to the football field by then. I said, yeah. So I walked halfway to the football field, put the ball in the tee, and I kicked it. And he said, oh man, that thing, he said, I need to talk to you. He said, how you feel about coming here like that? He said, I can work with you, you know, and all of that. Well, I was kind of shocked because I never left home. That was my first time even asking to leave home, but he told me he could help me. He asked me, do I have any family, any people there? And I told him, no, I don't. I don't know, you make a face. But I went on and told him, I said, you know, I like doing what I'm doing. He said, well, I can get you a job here. And he said, I can get you a job across that highway over there. He said, they just built a new church of chicken. I said to myself, I love church of chicken, but I love home too. You know, this will be my first time leaving home. And I don't know what's going on. I said, these some big buildings. But he talked to me and gave me some confidence. And I said, well, you know, I can try. And I tried.
And that's what started the beginning of your Georgia Tech era,
yeah.
Your ride or die.
That's what started
Okay.
it.
I understand that. Well, YouTube, we're going to be right back. We'll take a moment here. We'll see, maybe he can show us one of those kicks. Be right back. Okay, YouTube. There we go. We got it all set up. What you think about that, Rob? You think you still got it? You think you can still take it to the goal line?
I'm going to try.
Okay, as you can see, the football field was quite a ways down, so I couldn't afford to take those rocks down there. I can't afford another fall. So we're gonna go from right here. And let's see if we can get this is in C. Gonna kick off this. Rob still have it. Look, we down 2 points. Georgia Tech, Georgia Bulldogs. We need this kick. We need this field goal. Not 2 points. We need the 3 points to win. What you gonna do for them Yellow Jackets?
Try and get over there to the post.
That was an onside kick. We didn't need that one to win the game. But he still has that leg on him. He gave a great onside kick. We down 3 points. We got to beat them Bulldogs. We need the field goal. We need to go over those swings. What you gonna do, Robert? What you gonna do? It's all on the line. Georgia Tech. Bulldogs. 20-23. Tied up right here. Okay, for you Bulldog fans out there. Y'all won this one because our kicker gave an onside kick and we needed the field goal. But at the end of the day, if you could do it all over again, Would you still stand with and stick with your Yellow Jackets?
I sure will.
Ride or die?
Yeah.
So now, hopefully that kind of explains to some of the family members and your grandkids. You all can look at this time and generations to come and see your pawpaw story from JD Elementary to what took him to Georgia Tech, them Yellow Jackets. He's bringing it on in. Coach is going to put him into practice this week so he can make that field goal at next week's game. Not no onside kick. We want a field goal for this win. We got to take it to the Bulldogs, don't we?
That's right.
All right. You got any final words for your subscribers, your family, your grandkids on tuning in today from your J.D. Davis Elementary through your Georgia Tech football journey?
Stay in school. Get as much of it you can get. Learn as much as you can. So you can be whatever you want to be, because the sky is yours. Go for it. It's all belong to you. All you got to do is reach out and touch. Have a good year, and God bless you.